Hello guys, it's Chris from daxtrader.co.uk and we're going to do a DAX technical analysis summary for the 25th of the 11th and look at the other major markets as well quickly and wrap up for this evening. So I haven't been very active today, I haven't really done any trading, and I've been looking at getting a signal set up, and I've been out of the office for most of the day, so I haven't been able to do a great deal. So I'm just going to do the catchphrase thing and say what I see. So on the volume profile, we've got a very, very similar picture to what we've seen yesterday, and that is sort of two split distributions with a low volume pocket in the middle, and a huge amount of volume in the top half. Very much same today, except the volume in the lower half was a lot less today, apart from in the very, very early morning. So we've got a much larger volume pocket here, which seems to be quite supportive at the moment, as we tried to test it a number of times earlier on this afternoon, and it held. My thought was that if we break through the 98.50, we could see a drop fairly sharply down to around about the 98 level, but it didn't happen. That held, and VWAP caught up, and we've been pretty much trading above that again for the rest of the afternoon. So none of the levels from yesterday have really come into play. So value areas and the VPOX are still there, but we didn't even break below this 98.50 level to go even try and test those. So it'll be good to see what the levels will be for tomorrow. If we look at the pivots, see where we managed to get to today. We broke through the R1. We pretty much were rejected at R2, and we've been trading in that little channel for the rest of the afternoon, apart from the brief periods where we were testing the 98.50. We missed the breakout this morning when we came out of the box. That would have been a good trade, and it would have been a good exit opportunity to get out at R2, because we don't generally tend to trade much further than that on a daily basis. And we've made fresh highs. And what have we made here? So we've made 90. I can't even read that. Let's try again. 99.10. It says here we've made fresh highs. So continuing our progression north, and if we're just looking at this, it's just such a clean bull trend at the moment. The stock Twitch channel that I've been posting on recently, that seems to have gone a little bit quiet at the moment, so I'm wondering whether some of the more bearish characters have perhaps taken a bit of a break from it while it does its surge here, and they're perhaps waiting for a better opportunity to get in and trade. But it was certainly very quiet in the forum today. From here, we could well go on and reach the 10,000 level. I mean, we have already closed above this high. We did that yesterday, and we are just seeming to be relentless in its climb up towards that 10,000 level. There's lots of fundamental things out there at the moment with the QE coming out from the Bank of Japan, and they're ready for further stimulus. You've got China waiting until the end of Q4 to decide on stimulus, but it's likely they're probably going to do some. So there's a lot of expectation. The futures market is being swamped by a lot of expectation, certainly from the Eurozone, to have further stimulus. I do wonder whether, if there is a disappointing message that comes out, or the stimulus is not perhaps what was expecting, whether some of this already priced in expectation is then going to fall off if it doesn't quite meet up to what people want. So we'll be watching that to see what happens. We've still got the oil that seems to be contributing to some of this surge. The oil prices are falling. They've got the OPEC meeting to perhaps look at restricting supply, and that might have a minor impact, certainly in the short term. But I think that they're going to be excluding some of the Middle Eastern countries, and that you could argue that they are quite considerable producers of oil. So how much impact will it really have if they restrict supply in some of the other countries? Perhaps have an argument about it, debate even. So a couple of things going on. It's certainly very, very bullish at the moment, and it's quite worryingly steep in its incline. So at some point, if this is going to continue, it starts to look more of a bubble emerging rather than a trend. So I'd like to see a correction before we see any further, and I've been saying it for a few days now. I haven't had it. Well, I haven't had one, and I've been sat out waiting, and frustratingly, because had I have kept my long position from a few days ago, I would have been a couple of 100 points better off. So hindsight's 20/20, always has been, but I've just been waiting for a correction to get in, and at this stage it looks like a few of these opportunities are passing me by. So I hope you guys have been taking advantage of it, even if I haven't. And some of the other markets that I've been looking at the moment, I mean, Euro Swiss is really the only trade I've got on at the moment. I've got 2 positions on this. I mean, it's a tiny trade because the volatility is so low, but we're very, very close to this 120 floor, and the Swiss National Bank will defend that strongly. We've got in pretty much as close to the 120 as we could get, and we have had one of the bigger sort of, if you like, runs or surges today that we've seen for a few days certainly. So who knows? That could be the start of this reversal to send us back up again. So let me see, what else have we got? Euro dollar. Now, we had our trade triggered today, and I hope that it plays out the way that was expected, because I was expecting there to be, and I drew the lines, a little bit choppy, fly up through this kind of fib zone here, and then drop down, and it's done a little bit closer than I was expecting. We did have this massive sell-off, so we've got this low volume period or low volume pocket here I expected to give back, which it did here. I certainly didn't expect it to get much further than this. I've put my stop loss here because that has previously been an area of support, and so I'd imagine that will now turn out to be resistance. So I thought that would be a pretty good spot for the stop loss. And this fib zone is just simply based on these 2 swings here, from the start of this sell-off to its low. So anywhere in that box would have been a good position. So it triggered. I got filled. I'm 8 pips out at the moment. I think I got 40 pip stop, and we're looking for a retest of these lows here. So I think that's a pretty good setup. I'm happy to stick with that trade. Kiwi dollar. I got stopped out of that today. Or was it perhaps yesterday? I think it was. So unfortunately we lost out on that one. Similar area. I mean, this was the fib zone from that swing. This shifted over a sec. So fib line from here, looking into the fib zone down there, 50.61.8 fib zone. It bounced out of it, came back to retest it, but it actually did trigger straight through it, and we got stopped out. One of those things. What can you do? Let's get rid of that, and we'll look for another opportunity on it. Dollar yen. I mean, if we were to perhaps look at getting back into this, I just wonder whether there's a correction possibly coming on the way with this one as well. I don't know how far the correction will go, but if we did draw the fib from the most recent sort of continuation of the trend as opposed to this opening surge, then we'd be looking at maybe getting in around about this kind of area. Or if you wanted to be a bit more conservative and start it from this rally, then you could look at perhaps pulling the trigger around about that kind of zone there, for a move to get up. I think from current levels, I think we've got a little bit more to the downside that we could possibly go. There's been some sort of strength in some of the numbers from BOJ today, despite the fact that they're ready for further stimulus, which will weaken and dilute their currency. Some of their numbers published today show a little bit of underlying strength. So I'll wait for a little bit more of a sell-off on that, and we'll see if we can get in a better price. And the cable, still in its box, so I'm not really interested in getting into anything on that at the moment. Gold, exactly the same story, still trapped in this range. It's a decent range, so you could range trade this, but I'm not going to range trade gold. I'm just going to sit and wait for a breakout and trade a trend or momentum. And the S&P, so we're creating a bit of a doji pattern on the daily here today, and we're kind of reached the top end of this channel, so I'd expect there to be a little bit of a mini correction before I go long again on this one. And that's pretty much it. Not trading the FTSE at the moment, although there was perhaps an opportunity to trade the trend here. Sorry, wrong explanation. Trade the range. We had an opportunity down here a few days back, and there was perhaps another opportunity a little bit earlier on. So that kind of brings you up to speed. We're massively overbought, and we're heading way up towards sort of the top end of the nines, nearly up towards the 10,000. Fresh high again made today, and looks like we're going to be closing fairly high. So we're going to watch it, see what goes tomorrow, continue to hope for a correction so we can get in and buy this one at a better level, and take it again from there. So I'll leave it there for now. Good luck trading for the rest of the evening, and we'll be back in the morning for another video.